waiting for Mr. Anthony to fix his Zoom, but I think we're going to get started anyways because we have Mr. First's opening statement, so hopefully we'll have Mr. Anthony in by then. So I call this meeting to order. Welcome to meeting number 83, the House of Commons Standing Committee on Government Operations and Estimates. Pursuant to Standing Order 108.2 and the motion adopted by the committee on Monday, October 17, 2022, the committee meeting is on the study of the ArriveCAN application. Reminder not to have your earpieces near your microphones as it causes feedback and potential injury. Now, in accordance with our routine motion, letting everyone in the committee know that the witnesses so far appearing by video conference have completed the required connection tests in advance of the meeting. So, Mr. Firth, we will turn things over for you for 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. I am grateful to finally have the opportunity to correct the mistakes, omissions, and falsehoods that have been voiced at and by this committee and in the newspapers over the past number of weeks. The first one is in respect to my summons. I readily accepted the committee's invitation to appear, as I did last year when I was the first to show up and testify for over 2 hours. I told the committee that, because of parenting responsibilities this week, I could be available for 1 hour, but the committee preferred the 2 hours I'd be available the following week. For this, I was portrayed as a reluctant witness and playing hard to get. This is actually far from the truth. Without this opportunity to appear here today, GC Strategies would continue to be bound to confidentiality with Bottler that was conveniently presented to me for signature right before they started feeding the media with information. It wasn't out of choice that GC Strategies remained silent after learning of the numerous allegations made by Bottler, especially being on the other side with contradicting information. I welcome the opportunity to again explain my business and the contracting processes for government departments that have existed for several decades. The system has outsourced many contracting functions to the private sector. I was not around when this was established, but presumably the belief was that a competitive private sector could operate better than an increased bureaucracy. The system provides that only qualified private sector vendors can bid on and receive government contracts. Becoming a qualified private sector vendor is not easy or quick, as many checks for security and reliability are required. GC Strategies has been a qualified vendor since 2015. There are between 600 and 700 such qualified vendors in Canada, competing on a daily basis to provide services to government departments and agencies. These vendors range from very large companies who do work in-house to smaller vendors such as us who put teams together on a case-by-case basis. This competitive system forces qualified vendors to continually deliver quality services at competitive rates, or they would simply not be able to secure work. Because we rely on teams on a case-by-case basis, it is imperative that we cultivate relationships with service providers and advance their interests. But we also need to maintain connections with departments to understand their needs and understand where the market is heading. That is my business and I'm proud of it, as I'm sure all other vendors in Canada are proud of theirs. You may not like the system that is in place. You might think the government can do the better job themselves. You may not respect our work, and that is your right. I, like all people running a business, make mistakes. We try to learn from our mistakes, but in all honesty, we'll likely make more. GC Strategies made a mistake by sending the wrong version of the resume in which ended up being submitted to the Government of Canada for the task authorization. However, this regrettable mistake was not intentional and in no way determined the awarding of the contract. In short, the CBSA had pre-qualified the owners of Bottler to do the work as they were the only two resources with knowledge of their software. Bottler was approved before any resume was submitted or task authorization created. This is all relevant to the specific events surrounding Bottler. Bottler was a client I recruited because I thought they could fill an important need for the government's compliance with Bill C-65. I thought their specific product would be useful for many departments. I spent the better part of 2 years working with them and introducing them to various departments. CBSA was one of them, but there were many more. I was even working with Bottler to get them qualified as a vendor so they could fulfill contracts directly, eliminating the need for vendors like GC Strategies. The Bottler product was delivery-based, so Bottler would only get paid when they delivered. They delivered the first 2 deliverables and then were paid everything they were owed. At no time did GC Strategies ever receive money for those deliverables that we did not immediately pass on to Bottler. Bottler stopped delivering what was required of them and CBSA terminated the contract. I was asked to gather all new work that was done from Bottler prior to termination and submit to CBSA for review and payment. Nearly 2 months passed, and at that point, Bottler submitted the remaining 4 deliverables along with an invoice. The deliverables were then submitted to CBSA and they were not approved. The documents were unreadable, and once a version came through they could evaluate, the CBSA determined the work to be substandard and they were refused to pay. That leads us here today. So let me be clear. The Bottler pilot project was no way connected to ArriveCan. GC Strategies made no money whatsoever after working with Bottler for 2 years, including the pilot. GC Strategies and Dalian and Corradix each had their own individual contracts to complete work on ArriveCan. At no point did GC Strategies work with or act as a subcontractor on Dalian or Corradix's contract for ArriveCan. All work done for ArriveCan app by GC Strategies was done using our own contract. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll start with 6 minutes with Mr. Brock. Mr. Barrett.
Well, thanks very much, Chair. To the witness, the name of your company is GC Strategies. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
How many staff work at GC Strategies?
We have 2 employees, but we outsource our finance and legal.
App programming or design?
No, we do not.
So your role in terms of IT contracts for the federal government is that you're the middleman between the government and the people who do the work. Is that correct?
Well, we're responsible for bringing in individuals and building teams that the federal government would not have access to, as they do not have them on staff, and they also do not have recruitment capabilities.
Right. I mean, the recruitment capabilities of direct messaging people on LinkedIn, I'm sure a value could be ascribed to that, and actually we're going to see what that value is. You worked on the $54 million ArriveCan app, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And that app, the work on that app is now under RCMP investigation, is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
You're not aware of the RCMP investigating any of the work related to GC Strategies or anyone that you've done, you were contracted by or subcontracted to?
That's correct. My understanding was in the testimonies that I've heard and was clarified by some honorable members that right now RCMP is only investigating the Bottler accusations and not ArriveCan. Okay,
so did you work with Bottler?
I've worked with Bottler for 2 years as their representation, and we were in partnership.
Okay, and how much money have you made so far with contracts with the government of Canada?
I'm sorry, I do not have those numbers in front of me. I wasn't prepared for that question. My apologies.
You weren't prepared to tell the committee when we're here to ask you about your contracts with the government, how much you've been paid by the government for your contracts?
Well, this is the ArriveCan application study. This isn't contracting with GC Strategies and the federal government study. I've already given off all the information I have for the application for ArriveCan, which is the base of this study. I've had 2 hours of testimony. I've given hundreds of pages of documentation.
Right.
And we're awaiting
so you had to be summoned to appear here today, sir, and you don't even have the basic details about the work that you've done for the government. How much money was GC Strategies paid to not do any programming or app design for the ArriveCan app?
Well, first, I think I clarified in my opening statement the reason why I was summoned was because 1 hour was not sufficient.
I heard your
for today,
opening statement, sir.
hours.
My question is with respect to your billing for ArriveCan.
Mm-hmm. Can you repeat the question, please?
How much did you get paid for your work on ArriveCan?
Sorry, I've already given up all this information. You have all of my invoices.
Sir, are you refusing to answer the question? It's a very straightforward question. As you said, this is a study about ArriveCan. It seems to me that it would be quite pertinent for you to be able to tell the committee how many millions of dollars you were paid with your 2-person company to do work on an app that you didn't do any programming for. How much money?
I am more than happy that once I get that number to give you the answer in writing. I do not have that number with me right now, the exact dollars and cents. Apologies.
So if I said the number was $9 million, you wouldn't be able to dispute that?
No, I can dispute that.
Okay, so with what
number? I can tell you it wasn't 9. Again, it's been publicized in the media. It's somewhere between 15 and 30%. That's the number that everybody's going with.
Okay, so it's quite interesting that you're not interested in sharing the number because of the amount of work that was not done by you on the app and the amount of money that you collected for work that was done on the app. Are you familiar with the testimony that was given that you gave at this committee? You talked about your previous appearance where you talked about relationships. So I'm going to ask you, do you use relationships to get work from the government of Canada?
My relationships are gained from meetings that I've had since 2009 with multiple clients. We go through a competitive process to win business, like every other one of the 600 or 700 vendors that go do the same thing.
So is your client list relationship based?
My client list is people that I continue to have meetings with from when I first picked up the phone for a cold call and still have to this today.
So we've heard testimony at this committee that that you leveraged relationships with key people in the government in order to guarantee business, and that's how you solicited the participation of subcontractors. Is that a fair characterization?
That's accurately what your testimony is. You've heard, but that's not what happened. You're making reference to a testimony and taking that as gospel.
So you're saying that the witnesses lied to the committee?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that the reason the business came about was, again, having meetings with continuously having meetings and identifying opportunities, and actually being ahead of it, getting partnerships with people, understanding where the market is going, and being able to use procurement processes to get them in, while staying within PSVC guidelines.
Sir, you've said in relationship to in reference to your relationship with Mr. McDonald that you've been with him his whole career in government. Is that correct?
That was an embellishment.
An embellishment by you? Correct.
So while we sell to the federal government, I also have to sell to my clients.
So by selling, you lied to them.
No, that's not necessarily the truth.
That is our time. Mr. Zawari, please. Oh, sorry, Mr. Kuzmirchuk, please, for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Firth, in a lot of the conversations that we've had here on this issue the last number of days, there's been some conflating of Butler AI and the ArriveCAN app work. Again, can you just state, did you engage with Butler AI on any ArriveCAN work?
They were completely independent.
Okay. So you were working with them on the Butler AI app, is that correct?
Yep, I was representing them as my client, and I was working with them on, not just on the Butler pilot, but continuously trying to get them new meetings and get them in different departments.
What does that mean, representing them? Help me understand what that means.
Yep. So it's a partnership. We decided after many meetings and conversations, we went into partnership where they identified me, they wrote scripts for me as being a partner and representing them for business development for Government of Canada clients.
Is that a formal partnership? Is there an agreement of some sort, a contract that goes into that partnership? Or is that a handshake?
There was trust. I worked for 2 years for no fee, for no retainer, and actually for nothing. And the fact that this was, there's emails back and forth where I have scripts created by Butler that they'd like me to use when I'm introducing myself and how the partnership is set up. There's my logo on presentations where it's clearly where they've built this as in partnership with.
Is it normal to enter into these kinds of partnerships? Usually when I see businesses, there's a formal agreement, spells out exactly what the expectations are, exactly what the compensation is. Was there ever such a document in this case?
No, it was built a lot on trust. The reality is it's hard to go into agreement when when initially you haven't set up a meeting. So we just went off trust and we were partners, and it kind of worked out from a perspective of understanding that, they were represented, they got a pilot, and they got paid.
Why did the CBSA terminate the contract for Butler AI in December 2021?
I can't speculate. I'm sorry, I wasn't part of that decision making.
Did you have a contract with CBSA for Butler AI?
No, I didn't. That was with Dalian and Karatics.
Okay, and you have no understanding of why that was terminated?
No.
How many deliverables were expected of Butler AI under that project?
6.
And how many did they deliver?
They delivered 2 and got full payment for 2.
Okay. You mentioned something in your earlier testimony about the quality of work. Can you speak to that a little bit?
The quality of Butler's work?
I think so. I believe that's what I heard in your.
Yep.
testimony.
So the first two deliverables were of standard, and the CBSA approved them and signed off and paid. The other four were ones that came 2 months after they were asked to hand over everything that had been delivered up to that point. There was silence for those 2 months. There was then 4 deliverables were then sent in February. At that point, the CBSA, they couldn't read them to start with. And then secondly, when they asked for a format they could read, it came back that they decided it was substandard and they would not release payment.
Just to clarify as well, too, the first two that they did get paid for, that was also deemed substandard work, and CBSA sorry, I apologize.
Yep, no, those two were accepted. That's why CBSA paid for it.
So it was the remaining four that were substandard, is that correct?
Correct.
Was there ever an expectation on your part and Butler's part that this pilot project would lead to a government-wide acceptance of Butler AI, which would lead to a contract, as I understand it, in previous testimony that could have been north of $20 million. Was there an expectation of that at GC Strategies and also Butler AI at any point, that this would lead to a larger contract in the millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars?
That would be naive of me to expect that. I mean, I've been doing this now for close to 20 years, and an enterprise sale for the federal government it's very, very rare. The truth was, we were trying to make steps to at least be considered. So it's, get yourself a pilot, get yourself in other departments so you can at least start getting momentum. You have a pathfinder. And at that point, there's got to be a threshold once you've in enough departments where it's cheaper to do an enterprise license at a volume discount than it is to keep paying the licensing fee. But there's never a promise of an enterprise purchase. That'd be naive of me to say that, because I just know how much work goes into that and what has to happen.
Why were you working with Butler AI? What was the motivation to work with them for 2 years without any formal agreement?
Well, I mean, right at that time, there were cases, civil suits and like harassment cases being settled by the armed forces for $900 million. There was RCMP who were making settlements for $100 million for misconduct and harassment. And this could have been an opportunity for all government employees to have a front line where they could have somebody a bot or something to speak to and identify what the problems were, and at least have some sort of sound voice to actually go up against.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuzmierczak. Ms. Vignola for 6.5 minutes, please. Or 6 minutes, please.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Firth, as my colleague mentioned, there can be some confusion between the contract for Butler AI on harassment and ArriveCAN. But we just want to understand your main role in all of this. I would like to know, for ArriveCAN, did you work directly with Leon Karatis?
No, I did not. I never worked with Dalian and Karatis at all on any ArriveCAN work. They had their own contract, and I had mine.
Dans le fond, vous avez travaillé.
And so you only worked with them on the pilot project, correct?
Correct.
Et au niveau de...
And for ArriveCAN, you were the main vendor, correct?
That's correct.
Vous aviez des sous-contractants.
What about the subcontractor?
Sorry, I don't understand. I was the prime contract, and we had 5 or 6 other subcontractors working below us, each delivering different parts for ArriveCAN.
Êtes-vous au courant si vos...
Are you aware whether or not your subcontractors had themselves hired subcontractors?
I was aware that they did not hire subcontractors. My subs did the work.
OK. Et comment est-ce...
Very well. And in general and beyond ArriveCan, how do you certify that the information that you send to the federal government on your subcontractors is current and factual?
This involves interactions back and forth with so if we're using the subcontractor as a term as an individual, then there's multiple back and forths validating and ensuring the information is accurate.
Alors, comment est-ce que vous expliquez que les curieux...
And how can you explain that CVs for Mr. Morv and Ms. Dot had overestimated their years of experience?
Sorry, as I mentioned, that was a mistake. The wrong draft was sent through. There are multiple drafts moving back and forth between the ones. There's like 3 or 4 versions at any one time. And again, I own it. I sent in the wrong, unintentionally, I sent in the wrong version.
Est-il possible qu'il y ait de mauvaises versions d'un curieux?
I don't understand how you could have a wrong version of a CV. I feel like I wouldn't make a mistake on my own CV on my years of experience. So how could there have been 3 or 4 wrong versions? I don't understand. Can you explain that, please?
So before I was in sales, I was a recruiter, and what you typically do is you'd get the resume submitted by the resource. There's no grid or evaluation matrix that matches 100% to the resume you have in front of you. There might be missing some information on technology and other bits and pieces. So what there's a second version that's created that would have all the details and information in there, which would be compliant. At that point, there's conversations back and forth, understanding what is accurate and what is not, what can be claimed and what cannot be. Is this technology in this resume or is it not?
Merci.
It's a working document back and forth.
OK. C'est extraordinaire.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And for ArriveCan, you supervised the work. How many years were charged for the front end of ArriveCan?
We don't. Sorry. So first of all, we don't supervise the work. We're not. As a prime contractor or prime vendor, you're responsible for project nothing to do with project manager or nothing to do with budget management. So I don't have the exact number, but if you were to take 23 resources who are working on the project and you times that by 2 years, that would give you the days or hours that was put towards. So I think I remember in somebody's testimony, there was 8,200 days. If you were to divide that by just 16 resources, not the 23, that still returns less than 2 years worth of work per resource.
Moins de 2 ans de travail par année par ressource, mais au total, quelque chose.
So in total, that's 2 years of work for the front end. So the interpreter regrets, but she can't hear.
Sorry, can you hear me better now? Yep. So no, it wasn't just the front end. There was accessibility, there was back end integration, there was object character recognition, and there was also back into the legacy systems. For that, we had 23 resources at one-time billing that could have been for 2 years. So if you did 23 or even 20 to 23 resources for an approximation for 2 years worth of work, that would be the number that would have been presented for the what was invoiced for doing that work.
Pour vous...
Is our time,
Merci.
Ms. Finola? Mr. Johns for 6 minutes, please.
Frith, I'm just going to go back to the Globe and Mail story that cited that Cordex had submitted forms to the agency about the bottler work experience without their knowledge or permission. Now, it cites that Ms. Dutt said a 2-month summer internship at Deloitte on her resume was inflated in an invoicing points form to say she had 51 months of experience working for the accounting firm.
Sorry, let me just pause for a moment. I'll pause your time. Apparently, we're having translation issues.
I want to start again if I could.
Pour pouvoir entendre l'interprète, je dois mettre mon...
In order to hear the interpreter, I need to put my volume really high, and so as soon as the interpreters change, I'm going to have a bit of a loud blast in my ear, so I'd rather if the issue could be solved.
With us 2 moments.
Can we test if the French is going through now properly? Yeah, okay. Merci.
Okay, Mr. Johns, you can start again. You're at 20 seconds.
Mr. Frith, Cordex had submitted forms to the agency about the bottler work experience, and they cited that Ms. Dutt said a 2-month summer internship at Deloitte was on her resume, and it was inflated in an invoice points form to say she had 51 months of experience working for the accounting firm. Did you make those changes?
Sorry, just one quick question. Invoice points form, what does that mean? Sorry.
I'll just get to the point. Did Dottler give you their CV?
Yes, they did.
CV, they said they only sent it to you once, is my understanding. Is that true?
That's correct.
So did you inflate it from a 2-month summer internship that they worked at Deloitte to 51 months?
This was one of the versions that we talk about that you go back and forth with the resources to validate. This is, again, the wrong version. There was my mistake.
No, who did you go back? I'm asking you a question. You're under oath. Who did you go back and forth with?
I didn't go back and forth with the resources. There was not time to do so. There was pressure from CBSA to get the resumes from Corradix, which followed down to me. And in turn, I made a mistake and sent the resumes.
Butler supplied you with a resume. It was changed. Who changed it?
I made the edits. But again, the wrong version was sent through.
Mr. Frith, the government received forged work experience for Ritika Dutt and Amir Moore of Bottler. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were awarded based on fraudulent points invoicing. That's incredibly serious. On Tuesday, Colin Woods told us that he simply submitted the documents that GC Strategies provided to Dalian. If that's true, then you're responsible for fraud. I want to give you a chance to respond to that.
No. You're calling it fraud. It was a genuine mistake that was not made with intent.
So you're telling me you changed a resume with someone's experience for 2 months to 51 months, and it's not fraud, and also that this doesn't give you a better chance to get other contracts from the government of Canada in the future? I bet you your competitors would have a different view of that.
This was a solitary mistake made once that I'm owning up to. This is not something I do frequently to gain business and get a competitive edge. This was a mistake that I admitted. It was the wrong version was sent through.
Okay. Have you done any work with Deloitte as a sub or a ghost contractor?
I don't think so. I don't.
What about PricewaterhouseCoopers?
I don't have this information in front of me. You're asking clients that I've had for the last 8 years that I don't have.
You wouldn't even know if you had contracts with someone like an organization like PricewaterhouseCoopers. You wouldn't be able to recall that.
We've had hundreds of task authorizations. I'm sorry. I can get back to you in writing with any question you pose with risk for subcontractors. I can get back to you. I just don't have that information in front of me.
Did you get paid on the for the Bottler contract and the Dalian Cordex? Is it $350,000?
No,
did GC Strategies get that?
I received zero payment at all for any work done with Bottler.
So you never got any funding from Dalian or Cordex?
Correct.
So you just wrote a check to Bottler for $112,000 out of the goodwill of GC Strategies?
The federal government paid their prime, which was Dalian Corradix. They in turn, because we had a contract between the two of us, I then paid the full amount owing to Bottler straight away.
So you paid it from GC Strategies?
Correct.
And you billed out Dalian and Cordex?
No, I invoiced. No, I did. It was a 0% pass through. No money was made at all. Whatever CVSA paid Dalian, whatever Dalian paid me, I paid Bottler, and they cashed both checks.
So you got paid,
they
and then you
payment.
paid them. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. I'm trying to understand this. You got paid from Dalian, and then you paid them.
Yes, with
So
zero margin and zero money made.
Okay. In terms of the set aside, it's my understanding that you did this. That Bottler was doing some work, and on the set aside. Can you explain that? You know what we've heard at testimony already.
Yep. So once the presentation was approved by the president, at that point, CVSA, they will go back and they'll look at existing contracts they currently have and what would fit better in a statement of work that has been on a competitive contract that's in existence. They chose Dalian and Caradix's contract.
Okay. You said you would let it slide in an email about a payment and you would recover it later because you're certain you'll get more government contracts, and that you were basically going to take payment for this deal off of another deal. Would that be accurate?
No, that's your interpretation.
Okay, what's your
sales,
interpretation of that email? That'd be good to explain that.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. Up to that point of representing them for 12 months, I'd made $0. I got the pilot. I didn't get any money off of this one. In sales, you win some. Sometimes you lose some. I was looking out to the next one, not to recover money, but my understanding was I thought we had something. And again, I continue to work with them even after I got $0 to try and get new meetings to understand that I will get money eventually on one of these contracts.
When did you first start doing contracts and business with the government of Canada?
I'm afraid that's our time. You'll have to take it up next round. Colleagues, before we continue, I have to suspend for a very brief moment because we have Mr. Anthony's finally joining us. We need to just suspend for a time check or voice check.
Chair.
Okay, let me just do the voice check, okay?
Mr. Anthony, hello. How are you this afternoon?
As a point of order.
Point of order, Chair. The committee summoned Mr. Anthony to be here. He didn't have his Zoom updated. He's 45 minutes late. We want to hear from him for 2 hours. I suggest the committee just invite him to go on his way today, and then we have him back for another time when he can be here for the full 2 hours. We summoned him to be here for 2 hours. Agreed. We welcome him to come back next week for 2 hours.
Agreed.
I think that's unanimous, Chair.
Mr. Anthony, the will of the committee is to have you come back at another time for 2 hours. You're excused. You can leave us right now, and we will find another date to have you back for 2 hours. We'll advise you the time.
Is there a reason that you can't stay?
You're welcome. You're welcome to stay and listen in if you want, but you will. My understanding, we will not be asking any questions or inviting any comment from you.
Yeah.
Mr. Brock, you are up for 6 minutes, please.
Mr. Firth, there's a few things I want to remind you about before I ask you some questions. With respect to parliamentary privilege, which every member enjoys in this committee, it's a contempt of Parliament, sir, to mislead this committee by giving a false statement or false evidence, to refuse, unless related to cabinet confidence, to answer any questions, or to fail to produce documents that this committee might require someone to produce. So although you are not sworn on a holy book, this parliamentary privilege binds your conscience and binds your responses to always provide us with the truth. Do you understand that, sir? Mr. Firth, do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Firth, in light of all of the criminal allegations that have been levied against you and Dalian and Coridex over the last several weeks, specifically the following offenses have been in the spotlight: the offense of theft over $5,000, forgery, fraud over $5,000, impersonation, all of which, if prosecuted by indictment by a prosecutor in this country, could result upon conviction of someone serving a sentence greater than 2 years. You aware of that, sir?
Yes, I am.
And under this cloud of serious and significant criminal suspicion, have you retained legal counsel?
Yes, I have.
And has legal counsel, without me asking what legal counsel has informed you, has legal counsel impressed upon you the importance of telling the truth?
Yes, they have.
Has legal counsel instructed you not to answer certain questions?
No, they have not.
Thank you. One area that you have been presented with, sir, that gives me great discomfort as a parliamentarian is the issue regarding resumes. And quite frankly, sir, whether you call it a mistake, whether you call it a lack of intent, whether you refer to it as an embellishment, in my respectful submission, sir, that is a lie. And no one believes you. No one believes you in this room. We have national reporters in this room, and I doubt very much that they believe you, because your story is so fantastic. It's simply worthy of unbelief. You, sir, at all material times only received one version of the CV from both Ritika Dutt and Mr. Amir Moravej. One CV, one resume that was not ambiguous, that was not confusing, and you took it upon yourself to manipulate both of those resumes to ensure that Bottler qualified for government funding. You did that without the express permission or consent of both Bottler's executives, and in so doing, sir, you have committed a serious criminal offense. Do you have anything to say about that, or are you going to continue on this line that I made a mistake?
Yeah. I'm going to tell the truth, and it was a genuine mistake because there are multiple versions of the resume. They may have given me one, but as a recruiter, you make different versions of resumes, and the wrong one was sent through.
Sir, who made multiple versions? You or somebody else?
I did. I started my career as a recruiter, so I'm
on earth, sir. Why on earth would compel you to modify one version of the resume received by both individuals? Why did you have to modify it and create different versions without their consent or permission? Why?
Because accompanying every resume going to the federal government is a matrix, an evaluation matrix. That is a score that you get to be compliant, to be a certain category on the contract.
Lied to ensure that they qualified. You embellished.
I'm afraid
you manipulated the facts.
I'm afraid that is our time. You can continue on the next round. Ms. Fatwin, please, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our witnesses for being with us today. So I had a bit of lines of questions here, but your opening statement led me to want to ask a few different things. Specifically, you mentioned that Bottler did not complete the work up to CBSA standards as far as the final deliverables, and that it was rejected. We have not heard this from the CBSA that I'm aware of. So how do you know this information?
So they would have relayed the information to Dalian and Karadix, who would have then told me.
Okay. And so according to the Globe and Mail, GC Strategies is listed as a subcontracting document as a subcontractor to Dalian. Is that correct? You were a subcontractor to Dalian?
That's correct.
So can you explain how Dalian and Karadix can subtract to a non-Indigenous entity if they were given an Indigenous contract through a set-aside?
Sorry, but my understanding for an Aboriginal set-aside, I'm not an Aboriginal set-aside company, but for a contract, I think it's, after listening to Mr. Wood's testimony, it's to encourage Aboriginal entrepreneurs to then build companies. And I don't think I don't think you need to be Aboriginal to be on an Aboriginal contract.
Okay. Do you
Again,
currently
I'm not an expert. I'm not on the Aboriginal set aside.
Do you currently have any contracts with CBSA that are active?
I have one that's active, but there's no resources on there.
Okay. So can you please describe your relationship with Cameron McDonald, who's former Director General at the CBSA?
When I first started as a junior sales in 2009, we were encouraged by our VPs to use GEDS, which is the Government Electronic Directory, to make cold calls and get meetings and try and identify opportunities within organizations. Mr. McDonald picked up the phone in 2009, and I've been having meetings from then until present day.
Okay, so when did work begin? So when was this kind of contractual?
So meeting in 2009, 11 years later, I had my first contract with from Mr. Cameron McDonald.
Okay, and who approached whom to engage Bottler in selling its software to the federal government?
So nobody approached me about Bottler. There was conversations had by the CBSA, understanding that more recently there's been accusations made in the Vancouver Sun and other media outlets around harassment and some things in the public safety. So at that point, there's got to be some sort of product out there for some small Canadian firm that we can try and identify some opportunities. At that point, I researched firms that were out there, and Bottler was Canadian, and they were from Montreal, so they could get, should there be a government contract eventually, it'd be easy for them to get government security clearances, and then that's when I reached out to them.
Okay. You've also mentioned that your commission rate was between 15 to 30%. Is it standard to have a variable commission rate like that?
It depends, because a lot of the commission you get is off a per diem. So if I had a per diem for $1,000 and there were two resources, one requested 850 and one requested 750, that would be the range in difference from sometimes. So again, it's always the difference between the pay rate and the bill rate is what determines it's not a flat fee.
Okay, and what would be your hourly rate?
For what, sorry?
Just on a general contract, what would be your average hourly rate?
I'm usually working in per diems, not hours. So I'm guessing somewhere around $110 an hour, but somewhere between 90 and 120.
Okay. And just back to this subcontractual relationship with Cordex and Dalian. Was this arrangement negotiated with them directly, or was it with the federal government, or was it with both?
So once the pilot was approved, CBSA reached out to Dalian and Cordex and said, we're going to use your vehicle. And in turn, they reached out to me and said, you're going to be working with Dalian and Cordex. We deem this to be the most suitable contract. And then at that point, Dalian and Cordex and myself had a conversation. But until that point, we had no idea which contract would be used until CBSA told us.
Okay, and have you ever had any allegations of this nature made against you or a company you were associated with before?
Never.
And just you also mentioned that your concerns with our previous witnesses feeding the media. Can you elaborate on this? Like, what specific information do you take issue with?
Well, pretty much the majority of all of it. They were paid. I mean, it does bring suspicions to me where as we found out that later on they were actually feeding the media around the time they decided, after not speaking with me for a year, to then make me sign a confidentiality agreement, understanding that I couldn't defend myself and put contradictory evidence towards it.
You also mentioned that some of your
I'm sorry, Ms. Atwood, that is our time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Finola for 2.5, please, and Mr. Johns for 2.5.
Merci beaucoup. Monsieur Firth, où était votre bureau à...
Thank you very much, Mr. Firth. Where was your office in Ottawa when you had one?
We were on Bank Street between Queen and Kent. Sorry, Queen and Alfred, I think.
Okay.
So 151.5 Bank Street.
Merci. Lorsque vous êtes apparu...
When you appeared before the committee on October 20th, 2022, you stated that you had charged $9 million for materials and hiring for ArriveCan. If I average that out with the hourly rate that you gave us, 90 to 120, the average is 105. 9 million divided by 105 by 2, that's about $43,000. 43,000 hours of work, rather, per year that were billed by GC Strategies. And so was that only for your work or for your subcontractors as well?
So we don't get paid to do the work on them. It was just only going to be the subcontractors. So first of the hourly rate that I gave you was on average for across the whole of the federal government. They were a little bit higher for ArriveCan because the specific technologies that were required were not normal.
Je veux juste rappeler ce que vous avez dit.
I just want to come back on what you said in October 2022. You said we weren't given $9 million. We invoiced $9 million for the time, materials, and the commitment. So it's for the two of you at GC Strategies or for all subcontractors?
So our invoicing for the federal government was to pay all of our subcontractors that was used on ArriveCan.
Et vous n'avez rien reçu de ces 9 millions.
And you didn't receive any of that $9 million?
Yes, we received commission on the $9 million.
Combien?
How much was that?
Sorry, like I spoke to the honorable gentleman before, I do not have the exact numbers. All of the information was given to you. You guys can, all of my invoices to the federal government and all of my invoices to my subcontractors. All of the information has previously been provided.
Thanks, Mr. Firth. Mr. Johns for 2.5, please.
He supplied you with a resume that said he had 7 years experience, but you submitted a resume that said he had 12. Is that correct?
I don't have the document in front of me. Sorry.
And she had a 2-month summer internship at Deloitte, like I mentioned earlier, and you agreed that you had submitted one that said she had 51 months experience. That's total of 7 years that they had, just over 7 years experience. But my understanding is for the task authorization, they needed 10 years. So you inflated it to meet the task authorization. Is that correct?
Again, the wrong version was sent over, and I made apologies for that. That was the wrong version.
But that made it so you were eligible for the task authorization.
If it was finally approved, there was back and forth. You must appreciate as well, there's other categories on this contract. So if they were deemed non-compliant or they weren't actually after the back and forth, they would have not made that contract. The matrix. There are other 14 or 15 other categories that we could have used for that.
Do you do this as a standard practice with your business?
Not at all. I'd said this is a mistake, and I own it, but it was a mistake.
This before to meet the threshold for a task authorization?
No.
Well, I hope if anybody's watching and feeling a little uncomfortable right now, and they're doing their due diligence and maybe reviewing some of the resumes that have been formatted in the past, that they're going to come forward to this committee. That's something that I think I would like to hear. Can you tell me about who Mr. Von Brennan is to you and what relationship he has with you?
Mr. Von Brennan, he was one of our consultants we placed on assignment in the last 3 or 4 years. But outside of that, we're not friends. It's not professional. It's purely a professional relationship where he is a consultant and we find him work when he needs it.
So you heard that there's dirt that that Butler had identified that you had dirt on any public officials. Is that true?
I can never, ever have I ever said this, let alone have I continuously boast about it. I have no dirt on anybody.
Okay, but you
again, these are accusations made, correct?
Yes.
Yes. The answer is no. I have no dirt on anybody.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Johns. Mr. Jenglis for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Firth, you are without a doubt the least believable witness I have ever heard appear before a parliamentary committee. You referred earlier to something you had said about your relationship with Mr. McDonald. You said it was an embellishment. Would you say you're someone who often engages in embellishment?
No.
No. So your claims about Mr. McDonald were a rare instance of your embellishments. Is that your testimony today?
Yes.
Okay. I want to drill down on the resume issue. I know this is sort of stuck in the craw of many members. You sent 2 false resumes that we know of, and you've admitted to as much. You said it was an accident. We have no way of knowing how many false resumes you've sent. What we know is that we have 2 whistleblowers, and we have 2 instances of false resumes. So that's a pretty abysmal record when it comes to submitting accurate resumes. Could I ask you, would you be willing to table for the committee all of the different versions of the resumes for Ms. Dutt and Mr. Marevich that you have?
Yes.
Okay. Would you be able to table them within 24 hours?
I could 48 hours.
I think the committee would agree to 48 hours. This alleged sort of accident with the resume, I want to understand just like really the anatomy of how these alleged accidents happen. So how does this process unfold of you sort of creating multiple resumes, the true ones and the false ones, and trying to remember to submit the true one as opposed to the false ones that you have created for some unknown person? Just walk me through how that mistake got made, allegedly.
Yep. So there's 2 versions. You have the one that was sent in by the resource. You then have the one which is compliant against the matrix, which is also the evaluation grid. They're the 2 versions you have. So you have the one, and then there'll be one in between, which is where you've gone back and forth and you've authenticated that A, the technology is correct, if there was technology that was missing. Because again, not one resume ever matches completely with a government matrix. There's always conversations back and forth between a resource and a recruiter or sales to try and identify things they may not have put. Like we have resumes with 190 pages worth of experience that we deal with some of our consultants. We have others. Which
okay, let me jump in because there's some things you're saying that make sense, but there's some things that don't. So I would understand if you got a resume that that was too long, that contained errors, or that didn't contain important information. You said, hey, we need to get more background on your educational experience. You missed identifying specific skills. So if that's what you mean by fit the matrix, okay, that's maybe a conversation you had with them. What seems to have happened here, though, is that you in order to make it compliant with the specifications of what they were asking for, you changed some numbers. Right, so asking someone to provide further information is one thing. Massively inflating a number associated with a particular field, taking someone that says they have a bachelor's degree and editing that to say PhD. That's not just making it sort of systemically compliant. That's making substantive data changes. So how did it happen that you made substantive changes to the data on a resume, and in this case, didn't consult with the resource in either case? How did that happen?
So again, the second version is making it compliant. You can, after back and forth, you can identify that they would never be compliant, that they don't have that time. At that point, you then go back to the sub and say, what other categories do you have which are level 2 that would have 7 years or 5 years?
Okay. So you enter the false information that would make it compliant, and then you send it back to the resource to say, is this true? Is that your process?
It's a conversation. You phone them up and you say, you go back and forth, because phoning is going to be quicker than going back and forth.
Right. Okay, but your first step is entering false information that would be compliant with the contract, or at least different information, and then you go back to them and say, can I submit this revised version? Is that your process?
You don't. Well, no. You need back and forth because the revised process.
Right. Okay. You go back and forth and say, okay, we changed the numbers. Is that okay? And if they say it's okay, you send it. And if they say it's not okay, then you sort of negotiate. But your initial step is to change the number they put in. Is that correct?
It's to make them compliant, and then you start a conversation.
And you make them compliant by changing the number in terms of the amount of experience or the amount of time. Is that correct?
It's also an exercise for me.
No, it's not also nothing. I want you to answer the question.
To end it right there. Mr. Jouari, please, for 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. all, first I'm going to continue on the same.
So, resume of two subcontractor came to you, and you looked at their resume. You compared it into Government of Canada standard template, and you start filling those templates. And then you transfer some of that data over, and then there were some information that were missing. You send it back to the subcontractor, and that's the back and forth that you're talking about, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So in the process of sending these back and forth and having a conversation with those two consultants on the phone, because it's much faster, how many other items on the metrics that you call or the scorecard that you call, how many other points were that they needed to be discussed or was missed?
So that, again, because of haste, because of pressure from CBSA to Coradics and down to me, the conversation never happened and the wrong version was sent. But I can tell you the information included in there could be a small bullet point, which is like, gave presentations to senior executives. Like, these are things that go in there that are harmless, which needs to be qualified.
Yeah. So the information was transferred into the government standard template in haste. The resume was sent over. No conversation back and forth between your office and the consultants. That's understood. Now, what is the implication of it? Change from a 2 months to a 52-month experience from determining the rate. So what does that do? Does it increase the rate? Does it qualify? What does it do?
So this was a fixed price contract. This was not based on per diems. So whether it was this grid for this category or a different category or a different grid or level 3 or a level 2.
Yeah, thank you.
Still fundamentally, the cost would be the same.
I got the answer. So this was a fixed price contract. Can you tell us what does a fixed price contract means?
It means that it's deliverable based and it's not based on time and material.
Okay.
So a per diem is irrelevant on a fixed price and neither is a category.
So that's what usually fixed price means. So at least the change in the years of experience would have had not impact on the dollar value, but it would have an impact on them being qualified to do that job. Is that correct?
Correct. Butler were already predetermined to be the resources working on this.
That's fine.
Because they're the only two people that know the software and build it.
That's fine. So it was a fixed price, and there seems to be a discrepancy between the $350 as a fixed price or $336, but Dalian and Cordex charging $14,000 on top for whatever, but that's really understood. At least we know the number and we know how to reconcile. Can you talk about the relationship between you, Dalian, and Cordex as it relates to the Butler AI pilot?
We are competitors, but we are working together because I'm representing Butler and they have the contract with the client. So although we're competitors, we're professional. So the government would, as the prime, would work through Dalian and Coradics, in turn would then work through me for Butler.
It would. So government had a relationship with Dalian and Cordex, and you had a relationship with Butler. So
correct.
Why in this case they needed to go through you as an intermediary, although you're claiming that there was zero cost because there was anticipation that in the future businesses you may be compensated. So why would that intermediary need it? Why couldn't Dalian and Cordex directly go to Butler rather than having 3 subcontractors coming under you and then going to CBC doing the work and then getting paid by CBSA to Butler to you? So this is where
it is confusing. I mean, understandably, Dalian and Coradics probably had an indication that because I was working with them for
Mr.
2 years
Firth,
prior.
I apologize. I know it's confusing a lot to unpack, but we're out of time for your for the round. Perhaps we can get back to the next time around. Mr. Barrett, please, for 5 minutes.
Sir, have you been contacted by the RCMP concerning allegations that name your company specifically in the Globe and Mail on October 4th? Because the RCMP is investigating. Have you been contacted?
No, I have not.
You won't tell the committee what you were paid on ArriveCan for your two-person company that did no IT work on an IT project, but you said your commission was up to 30% of $54 million. So you won't tell us how much, but that would be up to $16 million. Is that what you're saying? That it could be up to $16 million for a company that does no IT work to do IT work?
We were never paid $54 million. Our piece was the front-end web development and our mobile development.
30%. You said the number was 30%, and so you won't tell us how much. So it's up to $16 million.
No, it's not. $54 million included $10 million for a call center. It included other vendors they used. $54 million was not through GC Strategies contracts. That was only.
You won't tell us how many. You won't tell us how many millions. You're summoned before a parliamentary committee. You won't tell us how many millions you were paid on this. But we do know that you submitted fraudulent resumes that increased the billing and the billing rates and falsely qualified vendors. We know that you lied about your relationship with Cameron McDonald to oversell yourself to subcontractors. That's unbelievable. Have you ever met with government officials outside of government offices, outside of government business hours?
No, I have not.
You have not. Have you ever met Mark Briard, the former CTO for Canada?
Yes,
have you ever met him in a hotel?
I don't have that information. I can look on my Outlook. I don't think so.
You don't know if you met him in a hotel. Do you know if Cameron McDonald has a cottage?
I don't know if Cameron McDonald has a cottage.
Do you know if he had one?
I do not know if he had a cottage.
How many projects have you worked on with him?
So when we first met in 2009, the first contract I had was in 2020, 11 years after we first had our first call.
Can you table all the documentation that you have for projects that you've done with Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
When were you approached by Mr. McDonald about Bottler?
This was a conversation not about Bottler, but again, identifying a systemic problem in the federal government with harassment.
What was the price for the CBSA Bottler pilot?
I believe you have to ask Correlix and Dalian. I don't have the final price. I was not dealing with the government directly.
So you can't tell us about the target price for the enterprise implementation of the Bottler solution for the government of Canada that you were working on?
No, because I do not know exactly how many people are in the public servants. I don't have that number.
Your commission would have been on the government of Canada-wide implementation of that project?
No, because the deal was never done. I do not have that number.
You entered into this without knowing what you'd get paid for it. It was just goodwill by the guy who committed fraud to increase billing rates on resumes for some subcontractors. It was just you doing a nice thing for Bottler and the government of Canada.
As I mentioned, it was not fraud, it was a mistake, and increasing that did nothing to the rates. The rates are fixed price. This is not per diem based.
Sir, you said that previously that that you are paid primarily on per diem. We know that the per diem rates are set based on the experience of the subcontractor. So how could it not affect the price by changing the experience of the person who is doing the work if it increases the per diem rate?
It's a fixed price. It doesn't matter if the per diem was $20 or if it was $900. The fixed price for the deliverable would be $54 or whatever the number was. It doesn't go off a time material. It goes off fixed price and deliverables.
The changing the resume, fraudulently changing the resume to qualify someone and inflating the number of hours that they have is absolutely going to affect the price of the contract and whether or not the person's going to be able to do the contract.
As I mentioned, there's different categories. There would have been categories if after it was deemed they would not compliant with those, they would have been on a different category they would have been compliant for. And per diems don't matter on a fixed price contract.
Is your testimony that you did speak with the person named in those resumes? You spoke with them by telephone about the changes that you made, the fraud that you committed on those resumes. You spoke to them. You did a back and forth on the telephone with them about this resume. Is that your testimony today?
No, as I mentioned to the previous gentleman I was speaking with, I didn't do that because of haste. The wrong one was sent in, and they were never qualified by the resources. That conversation never happened.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Baines, please, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our witness for joining us today. I think many have mentioned there's a lot to unpack here, and I'm not sure where to pick up here, but you talked a little bit about meeting Cameron McDonald in 2009. Who approached who to engage Bottler in selling its software to the federal government?
I was approached by CBSA to identify a real problem that's in the government, which was the harassment and the misconduct that's going on in multiple departments and in the armed forces and public safety. It was then suggested that maybe there must be a technology or a solution out there that could help the federal government with like an automated solution and act as a front line of defense for people that are going through misconduct or harassment. At that point, I identified Bottler and I reached out to them and suggested we meet up and I can walk through some opportunities that might be available in the government of Canada.
How did you identify Bottler? Like, what process did you go through to identify? You went out and you looked for, because you're clearly someone who connects. You're a recruiter in a sense, and that's your history, and you find the capable or able third-party solutions to do the work, right?
Correct.
So, what was the process you went through there?
It was simple Boolean search, like identifying with buzzwords, and then after that, identifying automated solutions because they're usually easier to install than actually having a team come in and integrate. And also Canadian was huge because if there were going to be federal government contracts and doing work for the government, they have to be able to get government security cleared. So,
so then who identified Bottler software as being able to meet federal requirements under the amended Canada Labor Code then? And this is where you talked about a matrix, it has to be compliant, etc. So then who finally said, okay, this is the one?
So we had subsequent meetings with labor relations, Corrections Canada and other ones. And so we would go there and Ms. Dutt would ask specific questions. I don't know, the whole time they were, on their website, it's maybe they were compliant and they're completely compliant with Bill C-65. So we knew that the solution could do that. And then it was subsequent meetings we had in other government departments with labor personnel to identify if it would fit within there. So, but I do remember several meetings, whether it's Corrections and I think Shared Services Canada, with labor relations people. And that's how we identified that it would be suitable.
How many people were involved in that process? Like labor relations, you're talking about a lot of different departments.
The majority of people we met with would have been HR and labor relations. And
so there's a number of people that are going through this process to make a decision in the end.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's cybersecurity to see how this is going to impact other things that are happening on the network. So there were several people in each meeting that would have different questions regarding the software.
Okay, so and then just so where does Coredex and Dalian come into the picture in all of this at this time if you're arranging for Bottler to provide the services?
So they were never.
Why did it go through Coredex and Dalian?
So I was working with Bottler for over a year before Dalian and Coredex even knew about it. I was there. I was getting meetings. I was helping them with marketing material. We're doing sales pitch to other organizations. It wasn't only until the pilot was accepted at CBSA where they contacted by the CBSA saying, we're using your contracting mechanism and GC Strategies is working with Bottler. And then that was when the first time that around the Bottler conversations, either party knew who we were working with.
So so when we're talking about the mistake that you made, the inflated numbers, apart from just those inflated numbers, you talked about a matrix of other things that and it appears that obviously there's been a lot of different people making a decision for this to come through. What are the other pieces of the matrix that need to be fulfilled?
And about 20 seconds answer, Mr. Firth.
Yeah, it would be different technologies that they may have used in the past. Then there could be more functional responsibilities, like did you give team meetings? Have you done presentations to senior executives? Each matrix is different for each category. And again, has no bearing at all on the price of the deliverables. Every category for a fixed price contract has no bearing at all, because that's a per diem base. That's time and material, and this is
Thanks,
fixed
Mr.
price.
Firth. We have 2.5 minutes with Ms. Vignola, please.
Beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Firth, did you make a sales pitch to Miss Brenda Lucky?
No, we did not.
Est-ce que vous avez fait un pitch de vente?
Did you make a sales pitch to Julie Lees and Philip Johnson at Transport Canada?
We did to Philip Johnson, but I'm not sure if Julie Lees attended.
Est-ce que vous avez...
After those discussions, were you able to close a sale with Transport Canada or with the RCMP?
Avez-vous touché une commission?
Were you able to get a commission?
Nope. We had subsequent meetings thereafter, but no deal was made and no commission was made.
Est-ce que vous êtes enregistré au niveau des...
Are you a registered lobbyist?
No, I'm not. I do not get employed by the people I work with. I don't charge a retainer or I don't charge a fee. And actually, my model is completely against lobbying acts because I want to get paid on the contract when it comes in.
OK. J'essaie de comprendre actuellement.
I'm trying to understand. You've said that you are not being investigated by the RCMP following allegations, but the RCMP is investigating misconduct by 3 companies that participated in the development of ArriveCan, and you are currently telling us that you are not one of those 3 companies?
No, not at all. I'm just saying I have not been contacted by the RCMP, and last time I heard testimony here that it was clarified that the RCMP was only investigating the bottler accusations and not ArriveCan.
D'accord. Est-ce que...
Can you very quickly tell us if, outside of your phone calls, did you have any other contacts with Mr. Cameron McDonald?
We had during ArriveCan, and there was certain applications that needed to be integrated. There was NFC capabilities, so there would be meetings in the CBSA offices.
Je parlais de rencontres personnelles.
Okay, Mr. Johns, please.
Talk about personal meetings.
You described Mr. McDonald, that you've known him his whole career in government, but you admitted that that was embellished. Is that correct?
I've known him my whole career. I've known him my whole career.
Okay. Mr. McDonald directed Bottler in February, said, please work with Christian, and they've got this recorded, by the way. Let Christian work his magic. Will you explain what the magic is?
I mean, I can't speak on behalf of Cameron, but I can speculate that, some people call it magic, but I call it time and roll. So government contracting is somewhat cumbersome, and it's very confusing to clients.
But you can understand the appearance from Canadian taxpayers when they see a resume changed, that might be what he's alluding to. Now, Mr. McDonald, he suggested answers for executives, and he wanted to start with saying, I will start by saying that I was not personally familiar with GC strategies during this time in question. How do you feel about Mr. McDonald suggesting something like that?
Sorry, can you repeat that? You cut out a little bit, sorry.
Quote, I will start by saying that I was not personally familiar with GC strategies during the time in question.
For Bottler?
Yeah, around, this is what he recommended regarding Bottler, or selecting a company on the ArriveCan app.
Sorry, I'm confused. Is it Bottler or ArriveCan?
It is regarding the hearings here in Parliament around ArriveCan.
Well, GC Strategies was selected by CBSA and PSPC. I cannot tell you who the person was that selected us, but we were selected by CBSA and PSPC.
Mr. Utano?
Again, I cannot tell you who the person was at CBSA that directed us
you
from
can't
PSPC.
remember. Have you met Ms. Daly before?
I have had an email exchange with Ms. Daly. I've met with Ms. Daly.
Yeah, I think the day after Bottler filed their first complaint, Ms. Daly wrote you and asked you to pay Bottler, and the next day you did. I have a question. Bottler alleges that you said that the resulting price increase would suck for Canadians. Did you say that?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Bottler alleged during the resulting price increase on the contract that this would suck for Canadians. But
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that at all. So
you're not familiar. Is there anything that you could tell this committee that you may not have told us that you think you should?
I think you're going to have to save that for your question for your next round, Mr. Johns, but I certainly understand. Mr. Brock, for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Firth, I'm sure that the millions of Canadians who either are watching this or will learn about this in the press or seek out the transcript of this particular meeting will be very, very grateful that the RCMP has access to this particular evidence. What I can understand is why you would take active steps in misleading this particular committee and Canadians with respect to your role as it relates to fraud and forgery with respect to modifying without permission and consent these transcripts, but the resumes to the government. What I can't understand is why you would deliberately lie to this committee on a very innocent question that was put to you by my colleague, Mr. Barrett, when he asked you if you knew whether or not Mr. Cameron McDonald from the CBSA had a cottage. And you said no. Do you want to reflect on that answer?
Yeah, Mr. McDonald has never referred to it as a cottage. It's a chalet. It's not a cottage.
For that clarification, Mr. Firth. Are you kidding me?
That is the honest.
Are you saying you knew all along that he had something that was equivalent to a cottage or a cabin, but because a different word was used to refer to it, that you had the license to say, I don't know?
You were asking.
Is that what you want us to believe?
You were asking a specific question about a cottage. I answered honestly. He has never mentioned that he had a cottage.
This guy hasn't said anything honest since he's been here.
But he's got a cabin, doesn't he?
A chalet.
A chalet. Well, why didn't you offer that?
Because that was not the question that was asked.
I see. I see. So you have a very limited ability in terms of telling this committee the truth. Is that correct, Mr. Firth?
No, I'm answering
because the RCMP
correctly.
is going to have a field day when they come to interview you.
That's right.
I answered the question honestly with the question that was posed in front of me.
I see. Well, let's ask you some more questions then. Have you ever had or claimed to have influence on any government officials?
No, I have not.
Do you remember, sir, some of the allegations that you have probably read about by Bottler, that they've actually taped conversations with you? Hours and hours of conversations with you? Do you want to reflect on that question again?
No, I've seen everything that you've said. Everything that was in the newspaper is what I've read.
Well, sir, I'll remind you what you said on audio tape that has been recorded. You told Bottler during the very first call on November the 8th, 2019, these are your words, quote, so we have essentially the ear of the president right now of CBSA, which is, I guess, really the equivalent of the minister or like the deputy minister, and my client who is leading, he's a very high executive responsible for innovation, cloud, end of quote. Another quote, for the next step of getting the proposal over to the president because this will land on his desk 100% like this is going, you know, above the ADM level. If that's not influence or claiming to have influence on any government official, sir, I don't know what is. So I'm going to ask you again, do you want to be truthful or not to this committee? Or do you want to continue to lie that you did not exaggerate or claim that you had this great influence over officials at the CBSA? Yes or no?
I was working with one person who identified...
Answer the question. Let's start with that. Answer the question. Yes or no? Do you agree that this is your words that you uttered to Bottler on November 8th, 2019, bragging about your influence on government officials? Do you accept that or not? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Mr. Sousa, for 5 minutes, please. You might be on mute, Mr. Sousa.
Mr. Sousa, is there any possibility that your headset is muted?
How's that?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Mr. Firth, you said you've been at this for over 20 years?
Since 2009, 2008.
Under various administrations?
Correct.
And various bureaucrats and civil servants over that period of time?
Correct.
And you've been doing the same way throughout that process?
That's correct.
You've been a qualified vendor since 2015?
That is correct.
Under this scenario? And how many subcontractors do you have thereabouts?
Today?
Yeah.
Probably 25, 30 right now.
And when you deal with them, is there, like, understandably with Bottler, you didn't have a fee. You didn't establish a fee with Bottler.
Correct.
But you do establish fee with other subcontractors when you go forward?
Yep. It's very, as mentioned previously before, there's no flat number. You have a bill rate to the client to work with, and you have a pay rate for the resource. The difference, the delta between is the margin, is the fee.
Right. So Bottler's made reference, I don't know who they're talking about, but are you the ghost or is that somebody else? Who's this ghost contractor?
I still don't fully understand what that terminology means, but the reality is, from what I understood when I was listening to the testimony, it's somebody that appears on a TA and doesn't do the work but claims to get paid, which exactly is what Ms. Dutt did on the Bottler one. She was named on the TA and openly in testimony said that she was not the one doing the work, but then did accept payment.
So when you made reference to the embellished resumes, was that in regards to the pilot project?
Correct.
And are you saying that that resume made a difference or did not make a difference in getting the approval of the contract?
It was already predetermined that the contract was going through. They just, we would have found the right matrix and the right category, but they still would have gone through because there was 14, I think 12 or 14 different categories that would have allowed this to go through.
And Bottler's expectations and some of the discussions that I think we've had, they're anticipating so much bigger payoff on this deal. Is that correct?
There was conversations about the euphoric state of being an enterprise sale, but there was never any promise to that. That was just ultimately what you always aspire to get.
So they had no contacts or no ability to deal with CBSA if it was not for you?
Correct.
And you're the one that brought them in?
Yeah, I mean, my network allows us to open the door, but that doesn't guarantee a contract. They still need to sell the software, and the organization still needs to find a need for it.
Why would you sign a confidentiality agreement after the fact with Bottler?
Because I had nothing to hide. I didn't think there was going to be this coming against me. And it makes sense now with all this information that's being brought forward of recordings from day one, text messages, sharing emails, that they would want to have just essentially allow me not to respond.
But you are responding, and you're aware now that RCMP is investigating the issues, the allegations made by Bottler, but not ArriveCan, correct?
Correct.
And yet you haven't been approached by RCMP.
Correct.
But you have been approached by CBSA because they've done an internal review. Have they not? Have they talked to you?
No, they didn't. They would speak only with the vendor they're dealing with.
Which was not
Dalian and Caratics.
Right, because you're the subcontractor to Dalian and Caratics.
Correct.
In this scenario. And you're saying in this pilot you made no money. It was just a flow through.
Correct. I made no money with Bottler in the whole 2 years I worked with them.
And so what was confidential that you had to sign? Like, I don't understand. Like,
it was like all electronic communications back and forth between myself and Bottler, text messages, documents that had any of our names on it, anything that had any presentational material, 2-pagers, anything that really essentially mentioned the word Bottler and involved myself or the federal government.
And why would Bottler not want that divulged? Because obviously they're now making allegations and complaining that they weren't paid, but you're saying that in fact they didn't do the work that was required.
Yeah, they were paid in full for the 2 deliverables that are accepted, and they never, because CBSA deemed the remaining 4 substandard, they were never paid.
Yeah, that is.
And how would you? And we were never paid either.
I'm sorry, that is our 5 minutes. Might have another opportunity in the next round. Mr. Genuis for 5, please.
Just briefly back to the resumes. I think I understand your process. You said that you receive the resumes, you make them compliant before sending them, but then check in with resources to make sure your edits are okay. Is that how you describe the process?
Correct.
Okay. So if I'm a potential subcontractor, I send you a resume. It says I have, say, 4 months of IT experience. The contract requires 4 years of IT experience. So you change the 4 months to 4 years to make it compliant. Then you check in with me and say, hey, is it okay that I made this change before sending it? Is that right?
It's actually identifying, it's more of a case for me as well to identify if they can even pass the grid. So
can you just answer the question? Like you said you check in if you make it compliant, then you check with the resource if that's okay with them. So you change the 4 months to 4 years, you check in with me, you see if it's okay, and then if it's okay with me, you send it on the basis presumably that I've signed off on it.
I check in with you, but if there's too much, like at this point, we're going to identify if it's just not even feasible to be in this category.
Right,
which is why you do the version.
But you do the revised version by changing the numbers to make it compliant. Then you check in with the resource, and then you send it in. Right?
It's also an exercise for myself to see how far a stretch this is.
Sure.
But that's important, though.
Okay, but that exercise involves changing the numbers, right?
It does, but
excellent.
I can do that for
well,
myself.
Not excellent, actually, but thank you for clarifying. So in the case of the folks with Bottler, though, you were working so quickly that you missed a step. So you just changed the numbers. Intentionally, you changed the numbers, but you didn't have time to check in with them, and you just sent in the resume without checking in with them. So that doesn't sound to me like a mistake. That just sounds to me like cooking the numbers.
No, to me, it was an honest mistake, and I'm apologizing.
No, I mean, it's a mistake in a moral sense, but I don't think it's a practical mistake. Like, you've described a process in which you change the numbers as a matter of routine.
But given more time, and not executing in haste, I would have identified that this resource would not have met this grid, and therefore would have gone back to Dalian Caratics and asked for a different category.
But it's obviously a problem that you change the numbers and then you go back and ask permission. Like in some case, it's great that Bottler did the right thing here and has blown the whistle. But in many cases, if you're routinely changing the numbers, people may shrug and say it's okay based on you telling them it's okay when obviously it's not. I have some additional questions, though, sir. I want to ask you. You had said in response to a previous question, you'd been asked, have you ever met Mark Briard, former CTO of Canada, in a hotel? And you had said at the time, no. Do you have any interest in correcting that answer?
No, I said I don't recollect I cannot remember every meeting I've had with everybody in the last 12 years. I'm sorry, I can go back into my Outlook and give you the answer in writing.
That's a different answer than you gave. We could check an ATIP that you submitted to find out that actually you did meet with him in a hotel, sir. That is ATIP A2018000247. Ironically, the ATIP came from you. We've gone back and forth about this cottage versus chalet issue. Have you ever been to this infamous cottage or chalet that is owned by Mr. McIntosh?
Never.
Never. Okay. I think there'll be some follow up on that point. So it feels a little bit like we're on the Maury show here. Now, going back to October 20th, your appearance before the committee last year, you had said, "We are not in any conversations for budgeting or cost controls. We have quality control. If a resource isn't performing, we will then work with the government to replace that." So you're not involved in conversations on budgeting or cost control. You told the committee that a year ago. Sir, was that true, what you told the committee at that time?
Yes.
It was. Okay. The Globe and Mail was able to get access to an email you sent, though, on January 26, 2021. In that email, you talked explicitly about budgeting. You said CBSA, quote, CBSA were pissed at the overall pricing and threatened to pull the contract. You said your cost plus 15% for me and 20% Coridex, et cetera, arose close to $500,000. I was not prepared to slow down the process down and stop our first client from purchasing, so I removed myself from the equation completely, and I gave them a 15% discount. Attached is a contract that shows it, et cetera. So you're sending emails that actually provide explicit budgeting information. So given that we've now put that email on the record, would you be prepared to admit that what you told the committee on October 20th regarding budgeting was in fact also a lie?
Sorry, no. This was about ArriveCan. Was a specific question you asked me on ArriveCan, saying, "Are you responsible for contracting or budgeting on ArriveCan?" And the answer is not at all. I was not even responsible for this response here to be anything to do with budget control. I removed myself from the deal, therefore giving the Crown a discount. That's not budget control.
You said you weren't involved in budgeting.
That is our time, gentlemen. Ms. Atwin, please, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Firth, the federal government has various policies, regulations, and directives that ensure the procurement process is transparent and carried out with integrity. And we're certainly here to make sure that we continue to do this. So, as a supplier, are you familiar with these policies?
Yes, I am.
So, in pursuing federal contracts, have you ever asked for clarity on the government's contracting rules by posing questions to a contracting officer or through another mechanism?
No, we have those integrities and provisions we have to sign whenever we're submitting an RFP that enforces ethics and assurance that everything was done professionally and properly.
So the Code of Conduct for Procurement, it applies to all vendors, their subcontractors who respond to bid solicitations and or provide goods and services to Canada. In fulfilling the terms of their contracts, vendors and their subcontractors are required to comply with all applicable laws and regulations. How have you demonstrated a duty of good faith and honest performance before and during any procurement process with the federal government that you've been a party to as a vendor or subcontractor?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please? I can't hear you very well.
Sure. So underneath the Code of Conduct for Procurement, which applies to all vendors and their subcontractors. So how have you demonstrated a duty of good faith and honest performance before and during any procurement process with the federal government that you've been party to?
Well, sometimes when we submit a bid, we also get permission to bid from the resources, because typically, whenever there's an RFP that comes out that's competitive, a lot of our competitors will go and submit the same people. So what we always try to enforce in our bids when we can is we always typically we'll submit a permission to bid to ensure that the resource knows they're being represented properly and correctly.
And did you do that in this circumstance?
We didn't. The bid would already been competitive, so it was a contract that had already been awarded to Daniel and Craddock, so it wasn't a new contract.
Okay. A Public Services and Procurement Canada official, they told Bottler that this was a matter internal to Bottler, GC Strategies, Dalian, and Coridex. Do you agree with this assessment?
What was the matter regarding?
So the fact that the CBSA is investigating alleged misconduct, and they're saying that this is an internal matter between these entities. Do you agree with that?
I can agree with that.
Okay. So then in your view, what gaps does this reveal in the federal contracting process?
I don't think it reveals any. I mean, the reality was it would have been a perfect execution if the 4 deliverables were done on time and were of the standard that CBSA would have approved and paid. This was not a contracting issue. This was a performance issue.
Okay. And so you mentioned also that your work through GC Strategies, engaging the kind of pathfinding services that you provide, that it all stays within the PSPC guidelines. So do you think anything should be changed regarding these guidelines after this experience?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I tried to work with Bottler to get them so they could be billed direct to the federal government. I think that my understanding is these processes were put in place in 2003. They haven't really changed much until now. And I think there just needs to be a better ability. If they want to eliminate the middleman, or what they're saying, or a vendor, then they should have the ability to invoice or go directly to some of these people who have the software and have the product. But unfortunately, at this point, that doesn't exist.
So where Bottler AI was not a qualified vendor, what were they missing? Just based on your assessment, what criteria do they not meet to become a qualified vendor on their own right?
Well, it's pretty arduous. You have to at least be in business for probably 1 to 2 years and build up your corporate references and get projects in the private sector or work through other people. At that point, you're deemed your qualifications, which would get you on TBIPs, THS, ProServe, SBIPs. And at that point, you're then eligible and qualified vendor to then go after competitive RFPs that are posted on Buy and Sell or Ariba.
Okay. And just in general, have you learned anything from this experience? Was there anything you would do differently to not kind of end up before us here today?
Yeah, I would probably at this point only work directly with the federal government and eliminate the middleman essentially.
And Mr. Johns asked you a question just before his time was cut off, just as far as if there's anything else you'd like to tell us, if there's something that we need to know, any points of clarification. I mean, the cottage chalet thing is raising a bit of concern for me. So anything else you'd like to add to the record right now for our knowledge?
No, not right now. There's nothing. Okay.
That's all for me, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Ms. Atwin. Ms. Vignola for 2.5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Firth, have you suggested to a subcontractor that they would receive a certain sum of money from another contract that they have not yet received?
Sorry, can you clarify that question? I don't think I understand the question.
So, one of your subcontractors works on Project A for a department. Has it happened to you to say to that subcontractor that they would succeed in receiving more money, but for Project B that they're not working on?
We only ever invoice the federal government for work completed that's been signed off by a federal government employee.
So you've never made any promises to anyone?
Again, we only invoice for work completed and signed off by the federal government.
I'm not asking you about what you're invoicing. I'm asking what you promise, what you suggest to your subcontractors.
I'm sorry, I have to no recollection have I ever had these conversations.
Earlier, my colleague asked you whether or not you had received any funds through the contract with Dalian and Caratics, and you said that you hadn't received any money for the 2 years worked with Bottler, but the question was if you had received a commission by Dalian and Caratics for the work completed for them.
No, I did not receive any money from Dalian or Caratics.
So you were a subcontractor that was not paid. Is that what we're to understand? You did this pro bono?
No, my intentions were to collect a fee, but that didn't work out, so I did not make any money on this contract.
Thank you, Mr. Johns.
So you made no money on this contract, but you emailed Ms. Dutt and you put, I'm going to read the quote, let it slide and look out to the next one and recover. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So this is contract performance fraud. It is invoicing for work done on other projects. Do you deny this written evidence, or are you saying this means something else?
I'm saying it means something else.
What's it mean?
The truth is, it means that in sales, you win some and you lose some. I was continuous to represent Bottler and the partnership and even when I would make $0, I was still trying to get them sales. This was nothing to do with making it up on the next one. It's just understanding that hopefully there will be a next one and I'll make the 15 or the commission I would on that one. This is not paying for CBSA's commission I missed out on the next one. That was never, ever the interpretation.
Right. Okay. It wasn't just fake numbers. You made up Mr. Moravej Inc. for Mr. Morav's experience. The company doesn't even exist. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, the mistake there was should have been Project One instead of his name. The thing is, it doesn't matter about whether it's the bullet points or it's making it compliant. The same process happens whether it's making, adding, they gave meetings to senior executives, they provided JAD sessions, the bullet points were in there. That's when you do the back and forth. And if it looks like it's too much of a stretch, you just don't do it. And then
Who did you back and forth with? With the resume changing?
I didn't on this case. I'm just talking typical process. I didn't on this case.
Did CBSA reject the deliverables and the contract before or after Bottler made misconduct allegations on September 27th back in 2021?
So Bottler would have, December 23rd was when the termination email went to them with CBSA asking, so the timing would be that the accusations were made before the termination.
Would you describe a cottage as like a under 100,000, 2 bedrooms and a chalet? What would you describe the difference between a cottage and chalet, and how did you know Mr. McDonald had a chalet and not a cottage?
Because in a meeting we had, he referenced the fact that he had a chalet once. I don't know what the generic square footage is or bedrooms for either a cottage or chalet. I'm pretty sure it's different for all of them.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barrett for 5, then we'll finish with Mr. Kuzmirchuk for 5.
When is the last invoice you submitted on ArriveCAN work to the Government of Canada?
I'm sorry, I do not have that. I can provide that for you. I didn't come here with information. I've already provided every kind of information I had.
You didn't come here with information that GC Strategies didn't do for work on ArriveCAN, but billed the taxpayers for it. Got it. Well, the answer is October 2023. I'm going to read you a transcript of a leaked audio file, and it's a view. Quote, "We did the ArriveCAN app, which is one that everybody has to use to come across the border in 2 months. And that has like 27 pages, 15 workflows, e-declarations, facial recognition, NFC capability of the passport," end quote. If it took you 2 months to do the work, why are you still billing taxpayers in October of this year?
October 23 was not ArriveCAN invoicing.
But I'm pleased that you've suddenly found the documents related to my question. The problem that we have here today is that all of my questions, we have to assume that you've lied about absolutely everything. Sir, I've never said to a witness in my parliamentary career that they have lied to a committee, but you just did it. So I'm not sure if you thought you were clever pulling a thesaurus off your shelf. Well, it's not a cottage, it's a chalet. It's embarrassing. What you're doing is disrespectful to members of this committee, and it's disrespectful, frankly, to the Government of Canada, who is paying your rent. And taxpayers should be very concerned that $1 has flowed from the Government of Canada to your organization, because everything you've said here today is absolutely unacceptable from a contractor for the Government of Canada. I haven't invoiced.
Sorry, I haven't invoiced the CBSA since May.
That was not a question.
So I don't know.
That was not a question. That was a statement
sense.
of fact. Mr. Chair, can you please call the witness to order?
Sure time, Mr. Barrett. Please continue.
Sir, I'm going to ask you some questions that we dealt with previously, because we're going to see if we get different answers this time, because that seems to be the pattern with you. Do you use relationships to get work from the Government of Canada?
No, I do not.
What is
your interpretation of a relationship, please?
Well, I mean, I guess what is your interpretation of a cottage versus a chalet? Where, you know, we have records of you meeting at a hotel with the CIO for the Government of Canada, and then you tell this committee that, well, I don't have any recollection of that. I've got to tell you, if I meet with the top person from an organization, I'm going to remember that meeting, particularly if I've had to comply with access to information records requests concerning that, and then furnished that request. Sir, you're being dishonest and disingenuous in all of your answers to our questions. I appreciate that you're embarrassed about the work that you've done and about the things that you've said, but you are required to be honest when you come before a parliamentary committee. And this clever act that you're trying to put on is not fooling anyone. So I'm going to ask you some of these questions again. Have you ever met with government officials or anyone employed by government in a private residence? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. What is the nature of that meeting?
I'm assuming, I don't know the exact meaning you're referencing. It's not like I've had hundreds of these things. The truth is, I don't know which one you're talking about.
I want to know about all of them.
I don't know which one you're, sorry, I cannot comment. If you could direct your exact question to me in writing, I'm more than happy to respond.
Sir, you're here providing oral answers to oral questions for a standing committee of the House of Commons. I don't have the answer.
Well, your answer changes. I do not have the answer.
So your answer changes. I've got about a minute left in time, and I'm interested. I'm interested in what precision we can get on any of that. You've had so many meetings with government officials in their private residences outside of working hours that you can't even remember. You can't remember how much money you were paid to work on the ArriveCan app. You can't remember meetings that you had in hotels with the chief officials for information technology for the Government of Canada. I'm not sure what confidence your clients could have in you if you can't remember these very basic details. Sir, I'm going to ask that you table for this parliamentary committee all bank records related to your business and the Government of Canada, that GC Strategies, Government of Canada, and Bottler. Anywhere that nexus exists, this committee, I would like you to table the bank records. Are you willing to do that? Yes or no, sir?
Yes, so it's between the government, to myself, to Bottler. Is that what you're asking?
Everything concerning
I'm asking clarification on your question. Please.
Everything concerning GC Strategies, the Government of Canada, Coridex, Dalian, Bottler. So anywhere there's an intersection of any of those companies, the committee would like your bank records. You will furnish us with them within 48 hours?
Oh, I'm not prepared to do that. I'm sorry. Okay. For what purpose,
Mr. Chair,
can you please understand?
Mr. Chair,
these are private information.
Mr. Chair, I move that the committee order the production of those documents.
Certainly. Do we have committee approval? I will interject. I assume, like other sensitive documents, we will keep them within the committee.
Correct. Yeah. Until or unless the committee decides otherwise. Yes, sir.
That Chair, can we just suspend for 30 seconds?
So we're just going to suspend for a moment. I'm going to ask our clerk just to read that in to the record so we're all clear in agreement. Go ahead.
My understanding is that the committee send for all bank records related to the business of GC Strategies, where there's an intersection between GC Strategies, the Government of Canada, Corridix, Dalian, and Bottler, and that the documents be provided to the clerk of the committee by Monday, November 6th, 2023 at noon.
Is that clear, Mr. Firth?
Yep, I heard that.
It is an order of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. We will now finish up with Mr. Kuzmierczuk for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, we've heard a lot of things today. Some really interesting testimony and information that have been established. I want to provide you the opportunity to tell us, explain to us the actions of Bottler AI from your vantage point. We see, for example, Bottler AI has tape recorded you. They have asked you to sign an NDA. They've reported on misconduct and potential fraud to the CBSA. In fact, presented a detailed report on that. And they've also gone directly to the media, and they've brought their allegations here to this committee. Help us explain those actions from your vantage point. Are we and how we should be viewing those actions?
Well, first off, it's very discouraging when you're trying to work with a small Canadian company to try to get them contracts with the federal government to actually solve real problems that a lot of Canadians are actually facing. You do that with good intentions. You work for 2 years on trying to get the foot in the door, get them with the meetings they need. And again, at that point, they have to close the door. But the truth is, I feel like it's been a bit traumatic, understanding the fact that voice recordings, text messages, again, all good intentions, even trying to get them on their own vehicle to eliminate our company. So there will be no third party, there'll be no ghost contract and whatever the terminology was that was brought up. The truth is, I did everything I could to get them contracts, to get the word out there, get them to help Canadians, and get them on their own supply arrangement so they could go direct, and then none of these accusations would ever happen again.
I mean, you can understand from my perspective, I'm seeing a company, Bottler AI, that's putting everything on the line, their reputation, their integrity. They've gone public with this. I'm trying to understand from your vantage point why they would do that.
I think there was good intentions when we first started the pilot to get the work done. That's why the first 2 deliverables were done on time and they were paid. I think there was the understanding that things were failing and that things weren't working. Those 4 deliverables, again, they were terminated December 23rd. And in my experience, termination is usually for performance. So the fact that they went dark for nearly 2 months, it seemed like they were scrambling to get the last 4 deliverables drafted up for submission, because again, I helped them get a line of credit. So whether they were over leveraged and they needed the last 4 remaining, I'm not sure what it was. But being in debt typically makes things a little bit more real. And at that point, you become desperate.
The Bottler AI also alleges that Cameron McDonald, who was the Director General at CBSA at the time, was providing real-time coaching by text message while you were pitching Bottler AI to the then President Osofsky and senior leadership at CBSA. Did that happen?
There was communication between Mr. McDonald, Bottler, and myself. This was, again, Mr. McDonald identified that there's a real problem, and this needed to have, I think he just wanted this young Canadian company to be successful and understood that there's certain ways, and he was just doing his best, my understanding, to help out Bottler.
Is that a conflict of interest to have an official coaching you to basically say the right things to get the bid through, to get the deal? And is that...
I believe that the intentions were to help with the presentation, but by no means, at that point, the president still needs to like the software. There's more things to that and just that there still needs to be understanding the software and making sure that it's a fit within the organization.
But is that a regular thing? I mean, is that a regular thing for an inside official to be coaching a company on what to say, pitching their product to other officials, senior officials? Is that normal?
I can't comment on what's normal. It's.
Did Mr. Cameron?
I'm not in everybody's meeting.
Did
Sorry.
Mr. Cameron McDonald tell you to inflate the CV that you submitted?
No, he did not.
Who told you to inflate the CV that you submitted to change the numbers? Who asked you to do that? Did anyone ask you to do that?
No, nobody did that. Again, that's part of my process for when I'm doing the resume submission.
Okay. And then one final question. I know you answered this before, but why did Bottler AI need GC strategies? Why couldn't they just contract or work directly with CBSA or Dalian and Cordex? Why did they need GC strategies?
So they were not a qualified vendor, so that's why we aligned ourselves originally. So anytime they wanted to work with the federal government, they could have worked through us.
Okay. How much time, Chair?
That's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Kuzmierczuk. Before I ask if we adjourn, I know Mr. Genuis said something, then Mr. Jouari. Go ahead quickly, please, 'cause we're short on time.
Chair, I know we're quick on time today, but I think you'll probably find agreement for the committee to bring Mr. Firth back for another 2 hours. And let's just skip a step and say to summon him back for 2 hours to continue this important line of questioning.
As date and time determined by the chair as before?
Yeah, it's determined by the chair. We trust the chair.
Are we fine with that, colleagues? I will arrange that with the clerk and Mr. Firth. Mr. Jouari, go ahead, please.
Yeah, on the same theme, we would like to request to call Mr. Cameron McDonald back to come back to the committee for 2 hours as well.
He is coming, I think it's next week. He's coming Tuesday, actually.
Oh, okay, great. All right, great. No worries.
You can move that motion at the end of the meeting when he's here.
Sorry, please. Sorry. Attention, please. Mr. Firth, thanks for your time. Oh, I think I see Mr. Souza, but there was several requests for information from you. There was one on the versions of the resumes, 48 hours. We're going to set noon for Monday, November 6th. Anything else, unless otherwise stated, is we have a committee requirement of 3 weeks. So there's that. Mr. Souza, did you have something before we adjourn? Briefly,
to clarify, are we asking Mr. Firth to come back for 2 hours alongside Anthony? Are we asking them for or separate times each?
It wasn't specified, but I think it would make sense together. Yep. And there will be summons for both, if necessary. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Colleagues, if nothing else, we will be adjourned. Thanks very much.